to the next Girls Run These Worlds one shot. This is Final Throws. Grave mistakes were made, which you will very much find out about very soon. Try to put as many death-related puns in there as possible. And during this, we will be showcasing some of the amazing work that was in the Girls Write These Worlds first ever zine. Woo! It is based around the theme of sort of rebirth and new beginnings. Thank you, Fleet, for putting the information. You can find the information in the stream chat. But this is the dungeon that is included in that zine, written by the one and only Fleet. If you have not heard of Fleet, educate yourselves kindly, because Fleet is amazing, and the concept of this dungeon is really, it's just incredible, and really fits the theme well. I was so pleased, so excited to be asked to run an adventure around it, really excited to be playing with this cast, and it's been a really fun time kind of preparing up until this moment. Let's briefly go around. I'm told that there are some issues with captions, but we will continue while we try to sort those out. Who shall I start with? I will start with the one and only Gas. Please introduce briefly yourself, pronouns, and your character, please, who you will be playing. A little one-sentence description of the kind of character they are.
Hello, I'm Gaskinator, she, her, and I will be playing Richard, but all his friends call him Richie. And he's just a silly little guy. Baffling for me playing a silly little guy, of course. But this silly little guy, he's a smart, silly little guy, and he reads books, and he's just here to have fun and hopefully not die. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see if you die in this adventure at all. Cool. Let's go to Laura next.
Hi, hello. I'm Laura, your local or international fairy witch mother, depending on where you are. My pronouns are she, they, and I am playing Trish, she, her, who is our party's bow-wielding scout who keeps herself at a bit of a distance, believing that she sees better from further away. She's definitely gonna live. She has 6 health. Definitely gonna live.
Are we just all introducing ourselves by our hit points?
Oh, sorry. Go back to me. I have 2 hit points. That's 1, 2.
That's 1, and then that's the other.
I'm a smart character, but I do not have to be good at math.
Gas can survive is 2. Really want to make that just real clear to everyone involved. Okay. Next up, who have I got next? Let's go with Natalie.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Natalie. I use she, they pronouns. And today I'm playing Sabrin, who is she, her pronouns, kind of the brute force, I'm going to run in kind of person. I have 9 HP. Yeah.
Yeah. Last one swing in.
And how confident are you that you're going to die during the session?
I mean, I always seek death. It is part of the barbarian blood.
I'm confident that all of you are going to die at least once during the session. I can almost 99% sure. The 1% is if the tech gremlins get us and this just doesn't go ahead. Cool. And we will go with who is next? Nox.
Hi y'all, I'm Nox, and I am Layla, the unofficial but totally official team mom, and intel gatherer plant lady. And I have 8 hit points. I'm not a tank. I don't know how I got 8 hit points, but I did. And I have faith in us. I think we're gonna live. I mean, I totally think that we can band together as a group and protect each other and not let our emotions get us killed.
I think my favorite part of that you really brushed over was I am team mom, intel gatherer, plant lady. Like you're like, there are 3 roles left to fill after all of these people have taken their roles, and I've just taken all of them.
Yep.
Plant lady, team mom, intel gatherer. I got it all covered.
I do
I
it
got it
all.
all on tap. I'm really used to from Theros having a 5th person, and it's throwing me through the loop. I just keep going, oh no, wait, there's no one else.
Just get Fleet. Fleet, get on in here.
Fleet.
There is also shout out to Fleet, who has not only written this incredible invention but is also producing for us, so big thank you to Fleet, doing an incredible job. I guess that leaves me. I'm Kat, and I will be the storyteller of this adventure, also known as Law Mistress, and I'm really excited. It's the way it's been written is sort of for an OSR dungeon. That's kind of the way it is written out in the book, but really it's pretty system agnostic. You can kind of apply it to anything you want to. There are roll tables and everything for kind of changing up the setting and the way each of the rooms look and kind of theming them. So it's been a really well written kind of starting point for some inspiration. And I suppose with that said, we can kind of just get into it. Everyone, take a deep breath. Enjoy it, because it might be the last one that you take.
Hey.
We will be using the system of Merkborg, but probably not the general vibe. And I just wanted an OSR system to kind of get through things. And for those of you that want a little kind of understanding of what this dungeon is all about, it is themed around if a party member or a whole party, what happens when they die. Is it going to just be that you kind of cast that revivify spell and they come back to life, or do you want a whole dungeon, a whole adventure kind of themed around that? And if you do, then this is what this is. So we will begin our adventure at the end of a TPK. So King Fazmu IX was a greedy king. That is to say, he enjoyed money and luxury far more than he cared for the comfort of his own people, and so he taxed them heavily. But he was also paranoid, and it was this combination that made Sir Duncan Gilbert his perfect vassal. Sir Duncan was a cruel man. He enjoyed the privilege he had been born into it, and was willing to do anything he could to maintain it. What's more, he lavished in the idea of bringing suffering to King Farthmu's people. Where he rode, hopelessness and tragedy followed. But no villain can truly exist without a thorn heavily embedded into their side. And Darren Fleetfoot was that thorn. His heroic deeds and exploits were a constant source of wonder to the people of many villages and towns. His clever quips, dashing good looks, and effortless charm brought light to the downtrodden, and he fought against the tyranny of the greedy king and cruel Sir Duncan. The people loved him. The people protected him. Some, like Finn Reed, the glassblower, a steadfast, red-headed bull of a man, even spread word of Darren's exploits far and wide, making sure that he and his band of rebels were well supplied. In a way, talking about all of this matters very much. In a way, it doesn't. For this tale begins the day that Darren Fleetfoot's life ended. Sir Duncan Gilbert could never find Darren or his loyal crew, and so he took out his frustration on the people that couldn't hide away. Darren's strong ideals and unerring positivity prevented him from seeing the storm brewing around him while he sat peacefully within its eye. Not even increased warnings from his most beloved chosen circle pierced that optimism and belief in the power of justice. And unfortunately, when enough pressure is applied, when enough hope leaves a person, when enough warnings go ignored, even the strongest glass will crack. As Darren lay dying in the mud, watching his beloved crew become surrounded by guards and his longtime traitor of a friend, Finn Reed, forlornly sink to his knees nearby, he felt the presence of another figure. Darren had always believed in an entity named the Watcher, an embodiment of karma, if you will. The Watcher would make sure that good things happen to good people and bad things to the bad. You have done well, Darren. What can I do for you? Darren watched his companions desperately and cried out hoarsely, "Let them live! I want them to live!" To his horror, each of his friends in turn was still slaughtered. Richie, as you watched Darren sink to his knees and his eyes widen with the shock of imminent death, you sink with him. It can't be. It can't be. He cannot be dead. He is not dead. You were the first to fall after him. Layla, when Darren fell and your heart shattered with his last breath, you instantly felt that need to protect burn within you, and you ran for your friends. So many stupid mistakes that led to this moment. When Richie fell, that white hot anger bloomed within you too and consumed you with helplessness and frustration. You were the next to go. Trish, your eyes usually dart around and survey an area in times of crisis, exits, strategy, an edge, something, anything you can do. When Darren fell, though, your eyes ceased to dart and instead focused on one target. His friend, your friend, Finn Reed, now traitor. And it was the wrong target. You fell also. Lastly, Sabine. You couldn't even take a moment to breathe as the numbness of grief once more took you. Slash, cut, read, repeat. You felt nothing, heard nothing, saw nothing. Empty. You survived the longest, but in a lot of ways, you were dead far before the others. I asked them to live, Darren gasped out, unable to process the slaughter. What happened? Oh, my loyal, fleet-footed friend, the Watcher responded. Living is not just a beating heart, inhaling and exhaling, or blood pumping. With you gone, they will need to be able to move on and truly learn to experience life without you. They had to die first for that. They will wake soon, and I shall explain everything. But let me make something very clear to you, Darren. You wished for them to live, and so when we reach the end, it will be them that will return, not you. And it will be hard for all of you. You shall have to lead them, as you always do, but give them space to accomplish what they can without you. Promise me, Darren, that you are ready to say goodbye when the time comes. Darren steels himself, but nods solemnly. As long as they will live, I am ready. I promise. One last adventure. Richie, as you were the first to fall, you are the first to wake.
Uh-oh.
And you can see the map, or kind of what's revealed of it at the moment. Beautiful map, by the way. The art inside the zine is absolutely gorgeous. I have taken the map. There is some other art associated with this adventure, but I will not be showcasing that because I feel like if you want to see it, you should purchase the zine. So me desperately getting in some stuff to kind of lift the mood a bit.
Yeah, you came
Cool.
to my house, you beat me upside the head with a baseball bat, and then you were like, "Oh my god, the interior design here is actually phenomenal."
Fantastic.
That is legitimately what has just happened.
Let me tear your heart out.
Let me
And
take my heart
then-
out and then just go, do you see the way this is designed? Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Always keep plugging.
Cool. So you kind of open your eyes. You are in a room, and it is a very strange cold room. That's the thing that hits you first, how sort of cold it is. There's a sort of mist clinging to the air within it, and you can see that it is empty, save for a chair or two sort of sat in the corner. And the next thing that you become aware of after you initially open your eyes is the sound of very muffled. It kind of sounds like everything is a bit like as if it's underwater. The sound and the acoustics in this room are a little bit odd, but the very muffled, heavy footsteps of someone running towards you. And the moment that they get to you and they grab you, you can feel Darren's hand on yours. And he kind of hauls you up and he says, Richie, oh, and then he just embraces you.
Absolutely stiff, like not knowing what just happened, and is like, yeah, of course I'm fine. Sorry, just a weird dream, I guess.
Yeah, well, not quite, Richie. Yes, it's a strange room, but no, everything that happened did happen.
No. Because that would mean you're dead, but you're here, you see?
Well, we're all supposed to be dead, but here we are. And he kind of like gives you a great big hug, and he says, come on, we're good, the others will wake up momentarily, but are you okay? Are you hurt?
No, just confused. Where are we?
Well, and he kind of points up at this figure, and you notice now as you're kind of getting up, there is like a little stairs leading up to a kind of parapet, and there is a hooded figure stood in front of a gate, and she just kind of stands watching, surveying the scene. You can see next to you are your friends. They are all laying, eyes closed. They're not breathing in the same way, but they look peaceful. They look like they're just sleeping. There's no sign of blood, no sign of any gore or anything like that. And a pool is kind of at the bottom of the parapet, just a sort of like square pool of water. And he says, she will, when everyone has woken up, she'll explain everything. But we are not alive in the way that we were.
But we're here. You saved us. You always save us.
I admire your optimism, friend. I suppose in a manner of speaking I did, but we shall soon see what that entails. And next up, Layla, you open your eyes and you sort of become aware of the same sort of things. You can see now that Darren is kind of knelt down next to Richie and kind of just helping pulling him to his feet. And the moment that you open your eyes, Darren kind of finishes pulling up Richie and he locks his eyes onto you. And he says, well, hello there, my flower. How are you?
So Layla's gonna ignore Darren and go up to Richie.
Oh boy.
Are you okay? Are you? And like grab Richie in a hug. Are you okay?
Still very stiff in the hugs because not returning them back. Because if Richie returns these hugs, that means something bad has happened. You see, that's what's going on in his head. Is that he has to? That means something bad has happened if we're hugging. So if he doesn't return the hug, then it's good. He's just like, yeah, we're all fine. We're just got knocked out, and now we're in this room, and we're gonna get out. We'll always, yeah, we're gonna get out.
I promise you, Richie, you're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Darren is kind of saying that, and he's talking to you, but he's very much looking at Layla. You can kind of see there's a sense of like nervousness, and he just kind of he kind of just looks at you, Layla, and he says, are you're upset with me?
Why?
I don't know, I'm just getting the vibe. I just feel like I'm getting.
Are you getting a vibe?
I'm getting a vibe.
Are you getting a vibe?
Oh, that's a rhetorical question.
It's a rhetorical question, Darren.
Richie is just looking up like a tennis match.
It's a rhetorical question. Maybe, you know what would have been a great time to get a vibe? Or not even a vibe. When I told you this was going to happen.
Now, not in front of Richie. Come on.
Not in front of Richie. We're fucking friends, Darren.
Well,
sorry, Richie. Mommy and Daddy are fighting. What the fuck?
And he looks really nervous, and this figure is just not reacting to anything at the top of the parapet. There's like, that is this is the Watcher. This is the Watcher that I told you about. She saved us. She saved you.
Richie is going over to the others and nudging them with his foot, just pleading that someone else wakes up, please.
Please don't kick
our
dead
at that
friends.
point, as you go to nudge Sabine, and there's kind of no real response, but you go to nudge Trish, and Trish, at that moment you wake up, you feel something tap against your arm.
Unfortunately for Richie, she's grabbing the thing that is tapping her arm, eyes going wide. What?
Sorry.
Rich, I'm sorry. No, are Darren and Layla still yelling at each other?
Yes.
Like,
well, no, Darren is not yelling. Darren is placating.
Okay.
Layla's yelling.
Understandably. Yeah, she's gonna look over and be like, I might just go back to sleep.
No, I woke you up because...
It's okay, it's okay. You can just lie down here, it's okay.
No, okay.
Trish, I can hear you.
Good morning.
Morning, are you okay?
I don't think any of us are okay.
Are you okay as you can be, being dead?
That's not a question I ever thought I'd be asked.
I never thought I'd ask that.
Yeah,
yeah, that's weird.
I think so.
But we're not dead.
I'm gonna see if Sabrina's awake. And just
Sabrina, you last remember a lot of blood, a lot of hacking and slashing, a lot of nothingness, and then you wake up and your friends are around you. Everything seems okay.
Yeah, the initial wake is just like,
Hey!
What the hell? What the hell? And I reach for Trish, I reach for Richie. Okay, there, and I like tap Richie's face. Okay, and then I bring Richie in and I look around. Okay. No one's bloody. Okay.
No, we just woke up and we're fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And I stand up. And I look at Fleet. What is going on?
So Darren kind of looks at you all as you all look at him, and he is like, well, I'm not entirely sure myself. And Richie, you're kind of giving him this really hopeful look. Layla, you are.
Yeah, this is where he explains his big master plan about how he saved us all at the very last second.
Yeah,
and, like,
this is normally how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's kind of taken aback by this moment of just like, you're all looking at him, you're all waiting, and then he goes, and turns. He goes, do you mind kind of explaining? I think they're all awake now. And the hooded figure, she's still watching. She surveys all of you. You can all see her a little bit better now. You can kind of barely see like these wisps of hair. Instead of a face, there is like what appears to be like a very white, plain, expressionless porcelain mask. And the hood kind of covers most of everything, so there's a lot of shadow around her, but you can just about see these kind of wisps of hair. And where it's kind of unsettling because as she talks, obviously there being a mask there, the lips do not move, but she says, it's good to see you all awake. How are you all feeling?
Confused. Deeply confused.
Understandable. Well, as Darren may have spoken to you all about me before, but I have been watching you all for some time. I am the Watcher. And as he fell, he wished for you all to survive, to live. In order to do so, the rules around life and death are a little more complicated than that, I'm sure you all understand. So in order to live and in order to fulfill his wish, you will have to face the tasks ahead of you through this gate. Should you pass, you may return to the land of the living.
Easy, right? We've done worse.
No, it will be very difficult.
I think he was looking for reassurance, but okay. No.
I mean,
I am compelled to speak only truth. I do apologize if this causes any discomfort.
So we just make it through a couple rooms and we all get out together. See? Just like I said, we're all gonna be fine.
All four of you will get out together.
Four?
Darren wished for you to live, not for all of you to live. Darren will be remaining in the afterlife.
Since you're already doing 4, why can't you do 5?
Unfortunately, I am granting the wish specified specifically by Darren. If you have questions, you should take them up with him.
Oh, I got questions.
Why is he an idiot?
That's the first one.
Also my question.
You idiot! Like Layla turns to him. You idiot! How? How did you mess that up?
And he kind of genuinely turns to you with this mortified expression on his face, and he's just like, I wanted you to live.
You've
So
got
I
a
asked
plan,
for that.
though, right?
I always have a plan.
Yeah, you always have a plan.
I always have a plan.
Don't encourage this.
And he kind of just looks around at you all, and he's just like, it's okay, I have a plan. And the plan is that we're going to do these challenges and we're going to get out of here.
I like the sound of that.
Should be easy. I know she just said it's going to be incredibly difficult, but we faced difficult before, everyone. And we've
Yeah.
come out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be absolutely fine. You just wait. And he looks particularly at you, and Layla, he flashes you that little like charming smile. That one that even when you're at your angriest, him, it just kind of tugs the heart just a little bit. He's like, you fucker, stop smiling at me like that.
You're so lucky you're pretty.
He just looks at you and he goes, you just wait, it's gonna be fine.
So lucky you're pretty.
Listen, my love, I know you probably want to kill me right now, but I am already dead.
I do.
So
it doesn't have any consequences if I kill you right now. I can just keep
know.
killing you over and over again.
I don't know the answer to that question. Do you want to test it and find out?
I would love
really?
to test it.
Please don't.
I would love to test it. Who wants to distract Richie?
No. I'm not going to get distracted. What?
Richie, turn around. Just give me a second. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Maybe at the end of our trial.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to need a clear head for these trials, and I feel like I know how to clear it right
now. At this point, the Watcher, who just is watching you all interact, but just not engaging, not responding. It's disconcerting. Me, Katrina, is laughing a lot, but I just got to put my Watcher face on. She kind of just says, you are all free to enter through this gate at any point, but if you have any questions, I will answer them as best I can.
Can you just tell us what the trials are?
I cannot. You will need to go in there unprepared. That is a condition of you passing them.
Are you still watching what's happening with the not dead people?
I'm always watching.
What happened to that traitorous jerk?
He is alive. And she looks at you, Trish. Your arrow missed.
Great.
Oh. And you can decide, Trish, if that was on purpose or not.
I think it was.
Trish never misses a shot.
Okay. So after this, the four of us, and she looks at Darren like, idiot, the four of us can go back after we go through your maze of rooms.
Yes.
I call dibs. Thank you.
If you pass, you may all return to the land of the living. Each room is a test of sorts. If you fail, you will be trapped within the maze.
Sounds like your typical stakes, you know?
And as she says that, she kind of briefly gestures at the pool at her feet. And you can see sort of these faint wisps, and this kind of real sense of tragedy is kind of emanating from this pool.
Well, hopefully the next room's not as much of a downer. Should we, get started on these trials?
The faster we get through this, the faster we can get back, and the faster we can put Flint down.
Sounds like a plan.
All right,
that.
Operation Murder Rooms. Let's
I'm gonna
go.
write this beautiful story about how they're gonna have to let their friend go, and you're all like, can't wait, can't wait to kill him myself.
Can't wait for murder.
Well, we haven't gone through the rooms yet. We're still the people we were when we died.
All right, let me just reveal a little bit more of this map for you then.
Oh, see, all 5 of us are getting out. It's fine.
Yeah,
All
5 of
4
us,
of you
including the
are getting
Watcher.
out. It's fine.
the Watcher just takes Darren's place.
Yeah, the Watcher is number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the Watcher romanceable?
All 4 of you and the Watcher are getting out.
Yeah.
Darren is staying.
Roll to
Look, they're running a
romance
sale.
the
It's
Watcher. I'd like to date the Watcher. They seem much better, like a much better choice than Darren.
Okay. So revealing some of this art, the gate kind of opens, and you all step through, and you're immediately hit by this quite bright light. And as your kind of eyes adjust, you can see you are in a beautiful room, and it is a room, but it also looks like it's outside. It's a really strange amalgamation of like sort of indoors and outdoors. The sun is kind of beaming through this window and casting these gorgeous sort of golden rosy hues, and it is bright and it is warm. It's like a sarcastic golden. It's which is how it's kind of described in the zine, as if it's conjured from a fairy tale. There are growing sort of between broken floorboards these beautiful flowers, and nearby, kind of like running, is a sort of a brook, like a babbling brook, but it is still quite quiet in here. It's still and it's peaceful, and there doesn't appear to be, from your first glance, any kind of door or anything out of here.
Okay.
And as you walk in, Darren kind of walks in too, and he goes, "This is just simply stunning." And he begins to kind of explore the space, lazily, kind of like admiring some of the flowers.
I think Richie is following him and like taking notes in a journal as he goes. Probably a bit more sharp, less lazy. And is also keeping an eye to make sure that Darren isn't about to get attacked.
You can hear faintly like bird song, but other than that, and like sort of a sort of breeze every now and then, that you don't feel anything. It's kind of weird. I'm just trying to think, do you have any kind of general like perception? Trish, I think that you would probably be the one that really noticed this, as you kind of like walk into the room and have a look around. It does feel off. Like, it's beautiful, but it's like, as I said, like you hear the wind, but you don't feel it. You hear bird song, there's no sign of any birds around, and you can see all of these gorgeous flowers, but there's no smell to them. You don't smell anything.
Hate that. I think like on first entering the room, probably trailing a bit behind at this moment, especially with Darren and Richie off together, is very reminiscent of one of her fondest memories of when they were all traveling together. And again, she was behind the group and just watching them together in a sunny meadow. And there's something in this that really strikes her as like, oh, like we've been here before. But then those little details start to trickle in, and it's not the same because they were alive before. And I think it would be to Layla that she'd point out, like, you don't smell anything, do you?
Layla's gonna like go up to a flower and try to smell it. No, I can't.
Darren at this point is just kind of he's looked around. His hand was kind of on his sword hilt, ready for adventure and action. But he's mostly relaxed now, and he's sort of sat down on the grass, lazily looking around. And he kind of looks at you, Richie, and he sort of pats the spot next to him.
I sit down. So, you know how to get out, right?
Oh, absolutely. We just need to go through the rooms. And then you'll be out.
Yeah. But where?
Oh, well, I'm sure some kind of exit will turn up somewhere.
Just wondering. Okay, so it looks like we're outside. If we look up, is there any like ceiling at all?
When you look up, you kind of you don't see any ceiling. It kind of just looks like a never-ending kind of like, it's like a sky. It's like a bluish expanse, with sort of like cloud drifting over and everything like that. But every so often, like a piece of like rock crumbles, as if that somewhere up there is some kind of ceiling, but it is very far away and not visible to the eye.
Okay, well, first things first. Let's see if this weird liminal afterlife space we can do any magic. And I try and summon my little familiar, Horatio.
Horatio, immediately, Horatio is formed on your hand. Ooh.
Hey, buddy. Well, me and Darren just chill out here. You mind flying straight up to see how high this goes? Please?
Please? Make a presence check for me. So roll a d20 and add your presence modifier.
First roll.
That's a 13. Lucky number to start
What was
this off with. 13.
Ooh, just about. 13. Horatio is somehow an owl that can raise its eyebrow. It's just got
It's
that
one of
kind
those
of, like,
horned
real
owls, yeah.
strong, like feathery eyebrow coming up. And as you say that, it kind of raises that eyebrow at you. And Darren looks at it and goes, Horatio, it's so good to see that you can exist even here.
Long-time rivals.
Off you go. Vamos. Love you, buddy. And the owl just kind of ruffles its feathers indignantly, but does kind of fly off upwards.
See, he didn't even like glare at you that time. You're getting better with Horatio.
Maybe it's the effect of this place. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Layla's gonna look at the others, like, away from them and go, is it magic, or is anybody else worried that the owl's here?
It is interesting that I was able to pop in, but I don't know magic anyway. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I always thought the owl was magic, but I never asked.
Never confirmed it, right?
No.
Like, and I do magic, so that's weird that the owl's here, right? We're just not going to mention this to Richie?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Let him keep that. Let him keep that.
Okay, that's
As you are chatting, Sabine, you start to feel tired.
Is it weird that you're dead and you can still feel like you need the biggest nap of your life?
I mean, I've never been dead before.
Don't really
mean, I
have
would-
any prior experience, but this looks like a nice place for a nap.
I don't trust this place.
Layla, you start to feel tired.
And now I'm tired.
And I'm tired.
This isn't good. Okay, this should be fun. Those two are.
We should try to keep moving on. I don't know if
And
there's-
Richie, next to you, Darren kind of is looking around. He kind of stretches out. Gosh, wow, dying really takes it out of you, huh? How are you holding up?
I mean, very much awake because we're trying to figure out how to get out of here, right?
Oh, I feel tired. I mean, seems like a harmless enough place. We could just stay and have a nap. Enjoy our time together.
Harmless? The maze that we said that we'd actively be trapped in if we couldn't get through. Harmless?
Yeah. Trust me, look at it. And he just kind of looks around.
If you say so.
Trish, you start to feel tired.
The ground is starting to look quite comfortable.
Are we all
Birds?
just sleeping?
I don't know. I don't trust it at all.
Richie, are you
Ugh.
sleepy? Are you tired?
Yeah. No. But also, I'm used to pulling all-nighters, I guess.
I told you to stop doing that.
Mhm. What does the light look like that's shining in? Is it like... Does it look like a sun setting behind it or anything? Or is it still as bright as it was before?
It does look like a beautiful kind of like sunrise. It's mostly golden with these kind of like pinky, but it could be the glass, the way that the glass is kind of refracting it. You as you turn to kind of have a look at the light, roll roll, let's go with
Strength! Punch it!
it's not gonna be strength. Yeah, we're gonna go presence is where our perception comes in. Roll perceive for me. So roll presence.
That is a 16 plus 3, 19.
19. -2 because the light in here is so bright.
Oh,
So 17.
still good.
Still good. And you kind of have a look and you kind of stare at this the window. You're really trying to figure out like where is this light coming from? Your friends around you are suddenly more interested in having a nap than really kind of moving on. And you're so used to just going along with everything Darren says, but something doesn't quite sit right with you. And as you turn back towards your friends, you notice that their shadows are much longer than they should be. Now, this is a weird place. There's some weird kind of things, the way that things don't smell properly and everything like that. But there's something about their shadows just doesn't quite sit right with you.
But it's not my
and you
shadow?
got a 17, did you say?
Yeah, 17.
17. At one point, you notice on Darren's shadow just a sort of weird sort of ripple in his shadow. A small one. It's almost imperceptible, but just something is not right.
But my shadow's okay?
You want to look at your shadow?
Yeah.
Yeah, yours looks really long too.
Can I like walk it up to a wall where it's like near me, like it's close?
Yeah, and it kind of it follows the rules, but it just seems much longer than it's supposed to be.
Can I touch it? Can I?
You touch it? Yeah. Nothing happens.
But I was never any good at shadow boxing.
What's the matter? Darren kind of calls out to you as you're kind of like walking around, touching your shadow, doing some weird stuff.
Investigating. Our shadows don't seem. They're long. Big, long, and stretchy.
What are you talking about? They seem fine. The rest of you, if you would like to all look at your shadows, I would like you all to roll presence. -2, but
A solid 8.
11.
Well, that's
Oh, wait. If I get a +2 to presence, so it's 13. Because it just cancels out.
okay, 13.
3. I got a 3.
Wow, our most perceptive party member, just solid 8 there. Well done, Trish.
Yeah.
So who got Layla? You do notice what Richie is talking about. The two of you, Sabine and Trish, you begin to feel more tired. Like right now, you're finding it difficult to keep your eyes open. But Layla, as Richie kind of points this out, you notice that the shadows do look a bit longer.
This isn't good. Oh.
Should we, if you're saying the shadows are weird, should we get out of the light? Ugh.
Is there a way to get out of the light in here?
From what you can see at this point, who ratio sort of circles down and lands on your arm.
Hey, bud. If someone looks like they're about to fall asleep, could you just like scream in their ear or something for a little bit?
World's worst alarm clock.
Little like hooting sigh. Roll presence.
Appreciate you, bud.
I mean, it would really annoy Darren.
16.
16.
Yeah.
He kind of ruffles his feathers a bit, and then he cocks his head and he looks at Darren, who is almost asleep. And he like hops forward on the grass and just delivers the peck of its life. And Darren's like, what? Horatio, what on earth?
Have I told you how much I love that bird?
I mean, he is the best, but also that was a little rude.
I know.
I said scream, not back.
No, let him do it. Let the bird do what he wants.
Okay, so no, let's not sleep.
Why did you tell him to scream at us?
'Cause
And Darren is fully rubbing his eyes at this point.
Because we shouldn't sleep, right? We're trying to figure out a way to get out here. We can all sleep when we get
Richie,
out.
there's no need to worry, I promise you.
Where have we heard that one before?
That wasn't Darren's fault. That was Finn's. He was the one who betrayed us.
Oh, it was a little bit Darren's fault, Richie. Let's just get out of here.
was it my fault? Okay, it was a little bit my fault.
Actually, it wasn't a little bit. It was completely your fault. But if you want to keep talking, I'll make that bird's peck look like a kiss.
Ooh. Darren just kind of like waves his arm. He goes, I do feel so tired. I don't know where this has come from. What was it you were saying about shadows or something?
They're long and wrong, and
Long
it's
and
probably
wrong.
not good to stay here. Look, we've been given this one chance to get out. If we just conk out in the first room, we might not be getting up again.
I think
Well-
Trish, as she's agreeing with you, is also like finding a sunny spot to settle down for a nap.
Like a cat.
Yeah.
Horatio, Trish!
Trish, you lose 1 point of damage. You lose 1 point. As you just kind of feel you get so close to sleep that you almost fall asleep. And as you wake up, there's just this feeling that you're not quite as well as you were before. Like, it feels like your strength is kind of being sapped from you a little bit.
Okay. Don't fall asleep. Falling asleep is bad. Confirmed. Now I feel worse.
All right. I go over and I just try to eclipse Richie, so my shadow's just like shadowing him. Like
So you're just gonna set your shadow on Richie as well. Richie, as you rolled a pretty good you've been keeping an eye on these shadows. You rolled a pretty good check.
Yeah.
It is a little frustrating to have Darren kind of dismissing the things that you're saying. Especially as you know he's come to rely on you so heavily for your smarts, and that's what he really values you for. You notice on Trish's shadow where that kind of like you'd seen a ripple before. It's almost like something had pulled out of the shadow and had just brushed against Trish's arm and then immediately retracted back again, and that's immediately followed by Trish saying, oh, don't fall asleep, confirmed, I feel weird.
Okay, when Sabine eclipses me with her shadow, do I see any ripple in that?
Yes. You see as Sabine kind of stands in front of you, two sort of like black hands grab Sabine's shoulders, and Sabine,
Like, do they come
you
up
lose 2 hit points.
behind me or in front of me and just go
Yeah,
back?
they kind of come over you to reach for Sabine.
I whack him with my staff.
You whack it with your staff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. As you do, roll your staff damage for me.
Is there any roll to hit, or is it just damage?
Roll the staff damage.
2.
2. It dissipates. And Sabine, you don't feel tired anymore.
Monsters in the shadows. Monsters in the shadows.
all right, punching shadows. Pull up my axe.
Pulls out sickle, just starts hacking at her shadow.
Monsters in the shadows, don't be so ridiculous. Darren's kind of laughing, and a shadow reaches for Darren.
And Trish, try and shoot it.
Try and shoot it.
Yeah.
Roll a presence check for me, because I think it's presence for your bow, isn't it?
Yeah, we're doing fantastic. That is, I have a +3 and then it's -2, so +1 total would bring me to a 10.
Yeah, that arrow just is fully embedded in Darren's shadow. but it kind of shrinks. And then Richie, you watch as it really explodes and balloons out and gets much bigger. Yeah, and he just kind of continues to shake his head and go, "This place is lovely. I don't know why you're all acting in this manner."
Can you just like
It's just an illusion.
look behind you?
There's nothing there. It's just my shadow.
What? The rest of you can see it, right?
Mhm.
I
Definitely
see it.
felt it.
You can all see that the shadow is kind of long at this point. But Richie, you are really the only one that can really see how big and how looming it is.
I saw it's really long, and I mean something happened to Trish.
Did the rest of you punched your shadows, right?
Yeah, because I believe in you.
You punched each other's.
Okay.
Hey, are you trying to say I don't believe in Richie?
I don't know, am I?
He does. He always has.
But you know I believe in you. You know I believe in you, right?
Yeah, of course.
See? Richie knows. But in this case, Richie, I do think you're wrong. I'm so tired. And he kind of really nestles into the grass. And he's like, Layla, come make up with me. Let's go to sleep.
What's his shadow doing now?
His shadow is so his shadow has kind of reached out and grabbed onto his shoulders. He's beginning to look a little pale.
You know what?
Nice.
If we're dealing with shadows, I think I got something for this. When I pull out my random magic scroll,
Mm-hmm.
because I can have the choice of dark or light for one-time use.
Yes.
And maybe we just have to explode this place with light.
If it's
So
all light,
what I
no
will say
shadows.
actually that you would notice, Richie, as
Yeah.
this is being suggested, is that the way that the shadows are, they are long, but it does feel like they're kind of clinging. They're kind of trying to. It's like they're trying to get away from the light. They kind of keep repositioning themselves so that they are not directly being lit up.
Yeah, light them up. They seem to not
Alright.
like it.
Cast fireball.
All right. Listen, Richie, if you really think this is going to get us out of here or whatever, then I trust you, buddy.
Thanks. I don't know if it's gonna get us out of here, but I think it's gonna keep us alive at least.
Alright, and I read
Different
it.
choice of words.
I read out my spell and create light.
This light kind of just sort of blooms from you. The shadows around you just completely dissipate. So all of you no longer have a shadow, which is weird, but it's just there's just so much light in the room that the shadows have gone. And you see this really big one that kind of attached itself to Darren. You all hear, apart from Darren, it seems, this kind of like weird screeching noise. It sounds like it's in pain, and it's kind of burning up. And he's like, oh, I'm getting such a headache. What are you doing? And then the light explodes and the shadow dissipates.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
And Darren takes a moment and he shakes himself and he kind of looks and he goes, that was the weirdest feeling. Is everyone okay? Is everyone okay?
Yes, thanks to Richie.
Precisely.
And I give
All
Richie a good
because of
pat on the
Richie.
shoulder.
Knocks me over.
Richie.
Good job, Richie.
He looks at you, Richie, and he says, Richie, I owe you an apology.
No, you don't. You're
No, I do.
He owes you one. Just take it.
Yes, he does.
I
He
do
owes
owe
you a
you
big
an
one.
apology. You're so smart, and I am not as smart as you. I'm really not.
that's why we work so well together.
Yeah, and I was not working well with you just then. I should have listened to you. I should have listened to what you said. The truth is, Richie, I don't know if this is going to be okay. And I keep telling you that it is, but I don't know that for sure. I'm going to try my best. I'm trying to come up with a plan. But you
said
had a plan then, and you were waiting for me. And you shouldn't need to do that.
But you always have a plan.
I don't always have a plan. 99% of the time, I'm making a plan up on the fly. 99. There was that 1% that was such a good plan and it worked so beautifully. But the rest of the time, I'm making it up.
Oh boy. But they still work though. And it's gonna work out. It always works out.
It might.
It will.
See? There's the conviction. That's the conviction I wanted. And then the room is consumed by fire. All of the grass blades shrivel up and wither. The glass, it just cracks. And you are all washed over by this horrible heat. It's almost too much. And then it subsides. And you are in a different room. And I will show you what this room looks like. Bear with.
Are we holding up, gang?
How's
So
it going,
good.
And nothing can go wrong.
And you are suddenly in a sort of stone room. There is a large portcullis at the end. It's not attached by a mechanism to the wall. It looks like it's being kind of suspended by this rope, this long line of rope, very high up, that kind of is holding it in place. In this room is lots and lots of glass objects. Some of them are on kind of stands, some of them are just sort of resting on the floor. And you would all probably recognize immediately their pretty distinct style. They definitely resemble glass made by Finton Reed. And in the middle of this glass object, and you're kind of standing on the edge of the room, surveying the area, and in the middle there is this sort of ball of flame. And as you kind of open your eyes and start to look around, the ball of flame, it almost kind of like sputters to life. and it begins to pulse and get bigger and bigger. All of you see it form into what looks like a bull, but like a fiery one. Except you, Layla. In the middle, it kind of pulses and pulses again, and it kind of momentarily shifts into this bull, and then it shifts again into a more humanoid looking figure, one that you recognize. It is the humanoid form of Finton Reed, but completely made up of this sort of glowing hot red flame, redder than his beard that is in real life. And he kind of has this moment, this demon in the center of the room has this moment, and it just roars out in anger and frustration, and it just cries out, listen to me.
You all see that, right?
The big fire bull in the glass china shop? Yeah.
No. What? No, him.
You're
I mean, we
pointing at a
kinda
bull.
Yeah, we
It's a
kind
bull.
of.
What are you talking about? A bull? It's him.
Him?
Oh, I don't like this.
Richie, stay behind me.
You guys.
Seriously?
This shape kind of just Layla, you can hear him speaking, kind of just cries out, it's breaking, it's all breaking. And he just is in the center. He hasn't moved yet, but he's growing slightly bigger. And he kind of just cries out, it's all breaking. And he sounds really frustrated.
You don't hear that.
Yeah, the rest of us can't hear that.
The rest of you can't hear that. Only Layla can hear it.
You can't hear that. None of you.
No.
No, but what's he saying?
It's breaking. It's all of it's breaking.
Has any of the glass broken?
Did any of the glass break when he's saying that?
Nope, none of the glass is broken. All of these really fragile, beautiful pieces at the moment look perfectly formed.
At the moment, okay, that should be interesting.
Is it? We can't see it as Finn. We see it as a bull, but do we see the bull growing?
Yes.
Okay.
He's reached sort of about, let me just see if I can think about it. At the moment, he's kind of the size of a van.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Moose size, okay.
It's a moose.
Moose size. Moose size. And he kind of at this point, Lily, he looks at you and he says, can't they see? Why can't they see? You can see, why can't they?
What are you talking about?
He just holds his head in his hands, and he's just the room itself is kind of unbearably hot. It's now, because the fire is kind of getting bigger, it's kind of producing those like wavering lines that kind of make it almost take on this like weird mirage-y feel. You all feel in your hearts this kind of real tightness, like this growing tension, and it's almost like, you know, when you have those feelings that you're so unbearably angry that you want to just scream, and like, no, it doesn't matter if it's like you're in the middle of like a place that is really not okay to just like start screaming because there will be consequences. But like it's that kind of feeling. It is thick with tension and frustration. Definitely a feeling that I think that Layla can relate to right now.
Oh yeah. Layla's face. Layla's. Is Darren still there?
Darren is here, yeah. He's kind of just looking around, and he's going, so are we are we perhaps we need to pick our way through? I don't know. This demon looks mighty vicious, and he kind of puts his hand on his sword hilt.
None of you can see this.
No, but if it's like the shadows, you could be seeing the truth of the room. So,
Please.
we'll follow your lead on this one, I guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to talk to the demon.
The demon looks at you, Layla. Are you gonna what are you trying to say to it? Are you gonna walk towards it? Are you staying where you are and shouting
Oh,
out?
I'm staying where I am. I'm not going near that thing. That is not happening. I'm gonna be like, no, just stay where you are. But what are you talking about?
It kind of looks at you, and it just really focuses attention on you, and it says, you should have done a better job of telling him how badly he was running things. And the rest of you see this bull start to scrape its hooves, and it just charges. I would like all of you to make what's the stat? This is my first time using this system, so just bear with. An agility to kind of dive out the way as it charges at you all.
Yo.
I couldn't see it because my skirt.
All right.
That's a 15.
14 for me.
14
16.
for you. 16.
10.
No, 10's okay. Okay.
Oh
You've seen it coming. It's all right. You're all safe. You all just kind of dive to the side, and it kind of like as it runs, it knocks over this large glass vase, and upon impact on the floor, all of you, your heads are filled with this memory, or this vision or something, and it is just it is from the perspective of someone who is looking up, and you feel like it's you can't really see who it is that they're looking up at, but you hear Finn's voice saying, you promised it would just be Darren, and then this man takes you by the scruff of the neck and says, and you promised Darren you would stand by him forever. And then the vision ends, and you hear that voice that responded was definitely Sir Duncan's voice.
Hate that guy.
Is the Finn fire demon like where the bull is, just like still looking at me?
Yeah, you've caught his attention. And you feel like that anger is really being placed on you at the moment.
What was I supposed to do? I told him.
Not quick enough, and he goes for you again. Roll me another agility check, please.
I'm just gonna keep this in my hand because it feels like I'm gonna be rolling a lot.
The rest of us get out of the way.
That's a nat 20.
Yeah, nat 20. Cool. Yeah. Nat 20. No glass is broken on this round.
Matador time.
But he is growing a little bigger. You can feel that the energy, the anger is really pumping through him. He's getting angrier.
What was I supposed to do? I told him it's not my fault he doesn't do anything.
Darren in the background is like, are you talking about me?
Yes, I'm talking about you. Shut up.
Why are you talking to this demon? Be careful.
Here. Turns away from the demon and looks at Darren. Are you kidding me right now?
Oh, here we go again.
I can't save you from that one.
Here we go
bud.
again. You know why we're going again? Because you never listen. Because you can't get it in your head that sometimes you are not the smartest person in the room and the other people actually know something. Your actions have consequences, Darren. That's what got us killed.
As you are all watching Layla get angrier and angrier, all of you watch as this ball seems to be feeding off of her angry energy, and getting bigger and bigger. And we will end there for the moment.
For the moment, okay.
For the moment.
We're all dead.
And we're done.
And everyone.
Roll
we'll end at the moment.
credits.
We will go to a 15-minute break. And we will come back and see what happens. But that is definitely the sense that you will get as you're watching the kind of like the anger, the tension in the room growing, as is the creature. And so thank you all for joining us so far. Really excited to get back to this. And I don't know if we are ready to
Buy the zine. You should do that on your break.
off. While
Go
while
buy
we're
the
on the
zine.
break, if you will all just, you can see it's written in the comments. You can all just go and buy the zine that this adventure has found within.
But
that
don't give
would
us
be-
spoilers for the second half.
Please
Don't go looking up.
Yeah, no one, no,
Yeah.
no one read ahead and give spoilers because that would be mean. But
Because then
really
Layla's
having
gonna
a
be
good
real
time. Let's all wave out. wanted to dive in my head. I'm assuming that we're live. Hey everyone, we are back with this amazing dungeon. So far, the party have made their way, quickly through a few rooms. Let's take a moment to appreciate this beautiful art. Because it is gorgeous and it is part of the adventure in this zine. The art is by Alison, I believe. Imp in a Sweater is their Twitter app. So check them out. But it's stunning. Like I literally can't stop staring at it. It's so gorgeous.
What a beautiful room to die in.
What a
Choice.
beautiful dungeon to die in. Quick recap. We are currently playing Final Throws, which is a dungeon made by the amazing fleet, that so talented fleet, for this very first Girls Write These Worlds zine. We are showcasing it here. I have tried to put some of my own spin on it, but I've drawn from a lot of what Fleet has written, to be honest, because it's so pretty. And currently the party have made their way. Each room kind of represents a different stage of grief. They've kind of made their way through the waiting room, got the lowdown on the fact that they've all died, and need to go through this dungeon in order to rejoin the world of the living. They have made their way through the first room of denial, and are currently facing the second room, anger. So we rejoin. Layla, you are in the middle of avoiding the wrath of this demon that's kind of chasing you around the room, yelling insults and accusing you of just being to blame. And as you become more and more frustrated and angry at the idea that you're to blame, when quite clearly it's not your fault that this has happened, the demon is kind of feeding off this energy, and all of you are witnessing as this bull made of fire is just getting bigger and bigger, and it will really find it quite difficult to navigate its way around some of these sort of glass monuments that kind of here, there, and everywhere. Yes, it is a bull in a glass shop, as Gus so beautifully put it. So yeah, and just a reminder as well, you can see kind of at the end there's this portcullis, so there is a way out of here. It is being held in place by this long piece of rope that is kind of coming out of the wall, and that and the angry fire demon is what is separating you from the exit to this room. Cool, let's just dive right back into it then. Yeah, you can kind of see this ball getting bigger. Layla has kind of just spouted off on this tirade. What would you like to do?
I am gonna leave Layla to maybe one of the more braver party members, I think. I'm gonna focus on the rope. So is the rope like holding it up, or is it like?
Yeah, it looks like the door is kind of being held in place by, like, if the rope were to disappear, it would just kind of fall and shatter, most likely.
Fall and shatter in a good way, or fall and shatter as in the door would close and we'd never get out way?
No, as in the door would kind of move and then you would be able to exit the room.
Okay, I send Horatio up and just peck at the rope or something, please, pal. You got little claws.
Make a presence check for me.
You got it.
I love that you have to use magic to get your bird to maybe listen to you.
Yeah, but I'm apparently rolling really well. That's a natural 19, so that's 21.
A natural 19. This
Wait, I'm angry, so I'm probably really, like, really, really forceful about it this time. Go, please.
Yeah, the Horatio won't respond well to that though, so roll at a disadvantage if you're going to be saying it angrily.
Oh, but you made us angry. What's a 6?
Oh no! Oh no!
No.
You for the first, I feel like this is the first time that Horatio has ever heard you yell, because you're such a positive, upbeat force of light, but you're so consumed by the kind of like taut tension within the room. It's frustrating. Everyone's shouting at each other, and you can feel this kind of like frustration burning within you yourself, and it's really hard to manage, and you just end up just launching on this tirade at this poor bird. just like
Beep, beep, beep,
like
beep, beep.
I don't have time to nicely tell you what to do. You go up there and you just pet that rope, okay? Like, this is not okay. And this bird just looks at you like, my God, you me? You, like fully like 180 moves its head around like in that.
I made you.
I made you.
And ruffles its feathers and hops, kind of flies and just lands on one of the glass things nearby and turns its back to you.
Thanks.
I love that when they exclamation mark and write your name, it says Gaskin shall receive.
Yeah.
What?
That is my
a
favorite
Sarah
thing.
special.
For all of us, it's like, find Natalie, find Laura, find Knox. Gaskin, you shall receive. Yeah, so that didn't work, I'm afraid. Poor birdie. I mean, I just want to point out that the bird normally is a little shit, like
Yeah, no.
before we all
Absolutely.
get, really, really, the poor owl. That owl has given you so much sass in your life. It just become the main focus. Like, do you know what? You could stand to be more polite, bird.
Well, I'm out of ideas.
Yeah. So then, this bull, and what you're seeing, Layla, is it's kind of it is at this point, it is this rather large. He's already a large man, Finn Reed, but it is like a sort of much more giant version of him. And it keeps like morphing between like this bull creature and then him again and then this bull, and he kind of to you and says, of course it's your fault. It's all of your fault. You just let him walk all over you with his ideals, and you don't think at all about the rest of us.
Of course I think about the rest of us. My family is still there.
He strides towards you, and he is gonna attempt to attack you.
Just gonna get the dice.
You're getting so angry.
Just gonna. She's also still yelling at Darren, by the way, this whole time. That doesn't count as a roll. That doesn't count as a roll either. It just keeps falling. Oh, am I supposed to be rolling?
You're rolling. Sorry, you're rolling. And I apologize. I thought that you were rolling. You are rolling an agility check.
Hey. I'm scared. Why are you looking at me like that?
What did you roll?
It's a 10.
Oh, a 10.
Oh, I think you cut out.
I didn't hear it come through.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm like, you're just looking at me like that.
You kind of just you rolled and then you went.
Yeah.
I do
Scandal.
this habit where I think I say words
Yes.
out loud and I don't.
Okay. You are so angry that you kind of like you don't put as much effort into trying to dodge out the way because you're trying to argue with this demon. And you take 3 points of burning damage.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna chug a healing potion.
Yeah, you do have one, don't you?
You're just like,
I have
hang on a
more
minute,
than
hang on a minute.
The Jamie Lee
Me, I
Curtis
was
meme.
like, what healing potion is that? Where did you just put? Oh yeah, wait, we rolled that. You do have that, yeah.
I have 4.
Yep.
I have 2 kinds of potion. I have 4 of each.
Cool. You take some back.
Where's my roll?
The other guy didn't recognize Gas without the moustache. I feel like that's important to note.
I'm just a little guy today.
To
I
be
don't-
honest, when Gas turned up to tech call today, I didn't recognize Gas either without the mustache.
It's still here. It's on my little mug. Hats and a mustache.
That's why they call me Fiasco. I feel like I really want this demon to just like, I'm blasting off again, but just yell that instead. I don't know. It's just, all right. So what is everyone else doing? Layla is just running around, being chased by this demon while yelling at it. Gask is having an argument, and Richie's having an argument with his owl. Is anyone else doing anything?
I think Trish is wondering, like, how did we get here? Like, how is this my afterlife?
Yeah.
Literally
This is
the
the
community
bad
meme of like
place.
walking in with the pizzas
Yeah.
on fire.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. And you said that when Layla's yelling, the demon's
Yeah.
getting bigger. So
Yeah,
presumably we
and
see
and
this.
when Richie started yelling at the owl as well, the demon kind of got bigger at that. You would definitely notice that it seems to be feeding off of like angry energy.
Great. I think she's gonna point this out to Sabine. Be like, everyone has every right to be angry, but the angrier we get, the worse this is getting. I'm not going to be the one to tell Layla not to be angry because she should be angry.
Who's
Yep.
gonna go? No, I know exactly who's gonna go. Darren is gonna say, "Oh, don't worry, I know how to calm this down.
No. No.
I'll just tell her to calm down."
No, that's the worst.
Go sit in the corner. Just go sit. But I think also
Oh God!
Richie was
when
onto
I
something.
built Darren, I did not build Darren to be this much of an idiot, but I just really feel like now he would be the person that would just go,
Darren
"Yeah,
really
you might
is the
want to
worst.
moderate your tone."
Turns away from the demon and just starts running at Darren
Like you did this to yourself.
Yeah.
with her sickle out.
Yeah. Trish,
What?
you help Richie.
You
I'm going to deal with this situation.
Great. Perfect.
You want me to watch my tone? Huh?
So I run up.
Hey, look, look,
You
I
want
think
me to
it's
watch my
getting
tone?
bigger.
I don't care if it's getting bigger right now.
When you get angry, just fully just throws Trish. on
Well,
the
then
ground.
stop making me mad.
What did I do?
What did you do?
The creature is kind of like getting it's really feeding off of this, and it is starting to grow to the point where it is coming up to kind of like that rope at the top.
You got us killed. I told you what was happening. I told you I found out. And I went to you because I trusted you and because I love you and it doesn't mean anything to you. And you got us killed.
Well, I know that now. I know I should have listened.
That's not the point. Congrats. You learned after you got all of us killed because we were stupid enough to believe in you.
He was my best friend. What did you?
I was your girlfriend. You trust me. Love me. Get up. Get up. I face, Darren, and you got all of them killed because of it.
You're so angry that your audio is just cutting
I
out.
just
a
heard
lot
that.
of what
I
you're
saw that.
saying.
Sorry.
I'm just getting a lot of like angry garble.
That's
but
what
love
Darren's
that
hearing.
spirit.
That's what Darren's hearing, though. He's just like.
I mean, it is a very accurate depiction of what I think Darren would be hearing, which is like, this is a lot of angry words, and how do I address them and respond to them?
He's gonna like take a deep breath, like, you were supposed to trust me, but you didn't, and that got everyone killed.
Yes, you're right.
And I can't figure out why you couldn't just trust me. Why you had to choose Finn. And Finn was right. Finn has always been right. And I've told you this. We've all tried telling you this, but you can't get out of your head and care about people. None of us meant anything to you. I never meant anything to you.
People. I care about everyone. That is why we're doing this. That is why we're fighting this, because I care about the people.
If you really cared, you would have listened. You would have trusted me. What was the point in any of this, in anything between us, if you don't trust me?
I do trust you. I just thought it would. I just thought I could make it better.
We've been telling you for years. And when I found out, I went to you because I trusted you. And that was my mistake.
Yes, but I mean, if you were me, how would you respond to, oh, your best friend of years who's been supporting you is going to betray you?
Here's the difference between you and me. I would have listened to Finn years ago.
Finn and I are just very different people. He sees things in a much more complicated way than sometimes they are.
Or maybe you don't see it complicated enough. I was holding Richie when he died.
His face, like entire face, just like really softens. Like you are literally breaking his heart as you're saying.
Good.
Oh, Richie stops yelling at the owl for that one. It was like, oh.
I watched Trish and Sabrine just lose it. Nobody protected each other. We just.
You will notice that just as she's kind of letting out her emotion, and she is kind of like, it's kind of crested the peak and going over, and it's becoming more like less, it's a little less raw, and it's a little more controlled in the way that she's kind of talking to Darren. The demon is starting to get smaller again, and the tension is kind of like lessening. That feeling of needing to be really angry is kind of not so clogging up in your throat. Okay. So, what would you do about all this?
I'd listen to everybody else. Anybody else have an idea how to get out of here? Not you?
I think Richie had the right idea with the owl.
Yelling at the bird?
Not with the yelling at the bird, but with asking the bird to destroy the rope. I think
I'm sorry about that, Horatio. I shouldn't have yelled.
When the flame was growing, at any point did it actually reach the rope? Like, is any part of that singed?
It got very close. And do you know what? You're very perceptive, actually. So you would have seen that as it got up there was almost like a sort of like shimmer as if there was kind of some kind of I guess like a force field of some kind that might have been around and protecting the rope, but the flame bypassed it momentarily. And then as the creature began to sink again, it kind of came out of that like little area around the rope. You the Finball, as I will now call him, he's kind of just saying behind you, ladies, that's all I wanted him to do. I just wanted him to listen. And he just kind of like smashes one of these vases next to him, and you all have this moment where each of you in turn remember a time where Finn tried to talk to you and talk more about, you know, he's handing over his supplies, but he's saying, you know, things are getting worse for us. Sir Duncan is making things worse for us. Your exploits, and Darren kind of moved that conversation on and silenced him with his usual like, it's okay, I have a plan, I'm gonna kill Sir Duncan, we're gonna end this tyranny, and the people will be free, it will all be worth it.
I'm gonna turn around and look at the demon, the Finn bull demon. I go, you didn't have to get us killed though. I tried. I know things are bad, not as much, but I think about everyone in the village every day. My siblings are still there. They live with him. Trust me, I know how bad it can be, and I tried. But that didn't mean you had to get us killed.
It's just sort of silent, and it stares at you, and then it just lets out, it bows its head, and as it does, it reaches up its arm, and a sort of ball of fire works its way up to the rope. The rope catches, and immediately burns up, and the door that was being held in place creaks as it begins to fall. And as this large door, this large portcullis smashes its way on top of this demon, you just hear, I'm sorry, and it disintegrates into smoke. All of the glass around it just smashes. But the way is open for you to advance to the next room.
Yippee!
Oh man, you can crack me up.
I think Trish is gonna pocket a piece of glass before moving on.
Layla's gonna look around the glass around them, and she's gonna kneel down and she's gonna pick up the flower that Finn had made her after she.
And it is amongst there. Like there are things there that you would all recognize. They're kind of, a lot of them are smashed up now, but there are all things that you all recognize as moments. The things every time you would go to visit Finn to pick up supplies, it's all things that he was working on at that time. And even things that he's made for you, things that he's made for Darren. He's just surrounded by his own guilt tainted memories. And yeah, you can pick up that flower and pocket. It managed to escape the gate.
She's gonna look at Darren and go, did you actually ever care?
Of course I cared.
No, about me. Not just
Yes.
about everyone in general.
Are you really asking me that?
Wouldn't you?
He will take a beat and he will look at you and he will say, I love you. I love all of you. It's why when I died, my first thought was all of you. And then he will head towards the gate.
I need a nap after this. So when I wake up, I need a
Come back to
nap.
the nap room.
Just turns around. Good luck. No, I'm kidding. Just turns around and goes, all right. Into the next room.
All right, let's cross out.
Oh, this looks
Cool.
like a nap room. Look
Yeah.
at
This
that.
does look like a nap
It
room.
sure does.
It really does.
Yeah.
And you make your way kind of down the stairs and you can see this kind of like strange sunlight again filtering in. As you walk into the room, it is the exact copy of your favorite tavern, your favorite drinking spot, where you meet up with the villagers, where Darren likes to, you know, tell stories and bring hope by explaining all of the exploits. Oh, the carriages that you have stolen from, the money that you have taken back and distributed among the people, all of these tales of hope and wonder. Each of you, it's quite a narrow corridor, so you have to kind of file in single file. And when you walk in, it is crowded with people that you recognize, people that are your friends, your loved ones. And they all just let out this big cheer. And they just kind of cry out, the king is dead! The king is dead! And they, you know, the bartender is kind of pouring drinks. Drinks are on the house. This is a celebration. And the moment that you all walk in, one of the barmaids that you recognize really well, Bessie, she just is like, and here they are, the heroes of the hour, and she kind of claps her hands and everyone cheers. And you walk in. Darren is the first to walk in, and as he does, he kind of momentarily lifts his finger to his head, and then he smiles, and then he kind of comes in and he's just like, we did it,
Did what?
we killed the king. Come, sit.
When we're dead.
Don't be so ridiculous. And he goes up to the bar and kind of grabs you all drinks. He's like, sit, come on. Trish, as you walk in, there is a moment where you're kind of watching Darren smiling and all of the people happy. And it really kind of takes you for a moment, because it really reminds you of all of the times where all of your favorite memories, you know, you like to watch from a distance. And so that means that your favorite memories are when you are watching everyone else joyful and happy and hopeful. That is what kind of keeps you emotionally invested in all of this. And as you kind of get to the doorway, you are struck with the sense that that very just 5 more minutes won't hurt feeling, as you watch everyone kind of walk in.
I think she's gonna look to Richie and Sabine and Layla like, well, if this is the last time that we're all together in this way, maybe 5 minutes won't hurt.
But it won't be because we're all getting out.
You are still in denial. Oh, it takes you
Back to the
back
first
that
room.
Back to the
Wow,
first
so sunny
room.
here.
But she's gone.
She's gone.
We lost Richie.
I think Trish just like taps Richie's shoulder and is like, just enjoy the moment.
Exactly. Trish, you've got the right idea. Here, have a drink. And he kind of passes it to you.
It takes half a
Nice.
second, but she'll take it.
But when does 5 minutes become 10, 30, an hour, a day?
Forever.
We've only got 45 minutes left of the stream, so it's gonna have to end at some
Yeah.
point.
That's how it is. We all stay in the tavern.
Yeah. Decided to stay here. We're heroes here.
If you want to see what the other two rooms look like and
Yeah.
not get lost in the maze like
Yes.
this, buy the zine.
Buy the zine.
By the zine?
Yeah, this is the paywall
See how
part.
it was supposed to end.
You've completed
Perfect.
the demo now.
Completed the demo. You completed the demo, buy the full game, see what happens next.
Yep.
Layla, your family are here, you know. And your siblings, they rush to embrace you as you kind of join in.
Hey guys.
Oh my god, it's so good to see you. You're finally here. We've missed you so much.
I've missed you too. And she's just gonna hug them and like bring them to sit down with like one on each side with her, like kind of near where Darren and did Richie go? I don't remember if Richie next like sit at the table with them and be like, yeah, I've missed you a lot too. You guys are gonna get in trouble though if you're here.
Oh no, Beth said it was okay. Just today though.
But Sir Duncan
Is
will
dead.
get-
And then one of your siblings yells, tell us how you killed him, Darren. And Darren goes, well, and he kind of like stretches out and he begins to tell this epic tale. And I'll give you this, Lilith. This is not Darren kind of making up a story. You can tell in the way that he talks about it and everything, he believes that this happened.
Richie's taking down every word.
How are we gonna
Richie!
kill this fucker?
Hey, you listen to Darren. I'm gonna go bring Trish and Sabrina, okay? And she's gonna get up out and just like watch them interacting with Darren, which is like something she's always wanted, and walk back and go, so this is wrong.
We can't. We
This
can't.
is-
Your
this is-
siblings are waiting for you back home. This isn't them. This isn't our
They're-
friends.
Darren believes this though.
Well, he's an optimistic idiot then. We gotta do something. We gotta get out of here.
I mean, he's always been an optimistic idiot, but at least he was an optimistic idiot who knew when he was spinning a tale. This is different. This is
We're dead. We gotta remember we're dead. If this is real, that means we're all dead. And I don't want to believe we failed that hard.
that's fair. That's Trish.
I think that if we didn't fail that hard, this might be one of the only times you can see a version of your siblings in this way for a long time.
And at this point, you kind of zone back in on the conversation, and your siblings are kind of asking excitedly questions to Darren, and Darren is talking animatedly about how excited he is to finally get to start the life that he always wanted to start. He's going to open up with the love of his life, a beautiful kind of flower shop and apothecary, and how the two of you are going to be so happy, and your siblings are going to be able to come and visit all the time, and stay over whenever they want. And no one is going to interfere with them. You're going to make sure that you see them every day. We want to see her every day. He's like, every day? What about every 2 days? And they're kind of like having this kind of like mock negotiation going on.
It's everything I've ever wanted.
At this point, like coming out of the crowd, Trish, next to you, you suddenly realize that you've been kind of sat next to Finn this entire time, who's been kind of quietly drinking away. And he looks up and he goes, hard to believe, isn't it, that we finally managed to do it?
That's wrong.
Just this slow look over, like, oh shit, 2 people really want to kill you right now. We didn't do it. This isn't, it's what we all want, what we all looked for, but we didn't. This isn't what happened. Not yet, anyway.
You're saying that this isn't real? Well, that would make a lot of sense. I've never been the biggest fan of Darren's approach, you know that, but
yes. No, this is not. It would be nice if this was real. I think it's what we all would have liked to be real. Me being in the middle of a crowd at a bar, that's not real. We know that's not real.
And he kind of looks up at you, and he looks you very deeply in the eye. And for just a second, his face becomes porcelain and neutral. But it is still Finn's voice that speaks to you. And he says, well, if being in such a crowded place makes you uncomfortable, you are always welcome to leave. But that is up to you.
I think that where I go now isn't just me. I think thinking about me and what I wanted is why I tried to shoot you, but I didn't really want that either, which is why I missed. But if I hadn't, maybe things would have played out differently. And she'll look over to Sabine, because at that point Sabine was the only one still alive. I think now I go where my friends go.
Then, if you and your friends want to return to the land of the living, you know where you need to go. And Darren is kind of just still in the midst of this story, and he's just so happy and so excited to be here. And he kind of catches your eye, Trish, and he kind of gives you that look of like, you okay? If you want to break, we can just step outside for a bit if you like. And points towards the door that you know you must go through if you want to advance.
I think Trish is very quickly going to look at the other, like try and catch their eyes and be like, are we ready to step through this?
I think we just have to go.
Let me say bye really quick and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
The moment that you try to talk, they go, are you going? Don't go. And they kind of reach out, and you know, your little sister's like, oh.
We'll be right back. Trish is a little overwhelmed, you know. So we're gonna go outside, get some fresh air, and I'll be right back.
You'll be right back?
I'll be
Are
right
you
back.
sure?
Of course. Have I ever lied to you before?
And Darren is just like, yeah, I'll come back and finish the story. Just a moment, okay?
She's just gonna hug them really quick and be like, I love you both so much.
And they'll just hold you tight, and I love you too. See you soon.
See you soon.
And are you all leaving?
Yeah, I think as Richie's leaving, he's gonna take a look in that mirror that's next to the door and like just look at I guess what supposedly a successful version of him looks like.
That hurt my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Richie, you look in that mirror and you see yourself reflected back.
Yeah,
and
walks on through.
the thing that really strikes you is just for a moment, because Darren is kind of caught away. He is not in that reflection with you. It is just you alone in that mirror. And that is what success looks like.
Richie looks down at his notebook with the story that he's taken down that Darren never got to finish, closes it over and walks through the door.
You walk through the door. You all start to go, and just as you get to the end, it is just sort of Sabine, I believe you would probably kind of go through afterwards. Layla, you take a deep stealing breath. You're just about to walk through, and then Darren kind of catches your arm and says, I'm so glad that we've finally got here. I love you so much. And I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. And then he kind of pulls you through the door. And Trish, you are the last. Are you following? Oh God, I'm making myself cry. Oh.
She's following through with just like one last look at, you know, what could have been, what they all could have had. But then she's going to close the door on that, because that's not what happened and that's not their story.
So you walk out the door, and the moment you do, you hear the sound of rushing water. And you turn back because it's coming from behind you, and you see as this wave just hits all of the people in the room as they're kind of smiling and waving at you, and then just like that, as the water hits them from behind, it rushes through the room and sweeps over you. And as it does, you see the exact moment that the memories of reality hit Darren, and he is returned back to what he was before he entered that room. And he remembers that he is not going to spend the rest of his life the way he wanted to. And then you are all swept up in this vortex of water. And the next room, when the water calms, becomes apparent to you. Let me just delete this.
It's okay, I'm taking this time to process.
Just have a look at this art, because I think this is my favorite room, the way that it's been drawn.
Gorgeous.
I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most comforting room to look at. But you
This is a nap
see,
room.
all of these people, and you don't see specific people, so at this point, but there are just people, there is furniture just strewn, and you are waist deep at the beginning, just by these stairs. Can I get a pointer? Can I get a pointer over here? Just, yeah, exactly, just by those stairs, you're kind of waist deep in that water. And you can see just at the other side the way that you need to go. You just need to cross this water. The bodies that are kind of floating around, some of them in the water, some of them kind of in the air, they don't look dead. They just kind of look frozen. And you just feel this gut-wrenching sadness. Darren kind of looks like a broken man. And he just kind of takes a moment, composes himself, and then he says, well, onwards, I suppose.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Here, Richie.
And what is the plan?
Yeah.
Getting on the shoulders.
Yeah, uppies.
Yep. Up on me, keeping Richie out of the water. And I offer a hand for anyone to take. I think we may need to stick together.
So you begin to wade through this water. And as you do, the people that are frozen, they follow you with their eyes and their heads. And you hear these kind of whispers. One of them says, "Don't go. Don't leave us." Another one says, "You're letting us down?" Do you keep waiting?
Yeah, one of us has rope, right? If we need to stick together.
Run!
50 feet have been roped.
Yep.
50 feet.
When we
have
rolled
been
our
roped.
equipment, I need you to know that poor Layla rolled rope and chain. So I let her re-roll the chain, because I just felt like just two methods of tying things just felt a little bit. It just felt a little bit, yeah. So rope and chain. So, but you still have the rope if you wish to use that.
Yeah, Layla's gonna kind of like handcuff them all together. So that you like tie it, like you'll be fine. It's not cutting off your, well, we're dead, we don't have circulation. But like making sure that like it's tight enough that nobody can wander, Richie. And
I'm on Sabrina's shoulders.
you still almost fell off a
Hasn't
mountain.
stopped you. Yeah.
It's canon. You almost fell off a mountain to go picking a
It was a
flower.
slippery mountain.
But it's still. And also Darren, because Darren is probably gonna get swept up in this. But making sure everybody is tied together. It's like, okay, Sabrina.
All right. Can I get
You should go
a
forward.
quick marching order, please?
I guess I'll be first.
I'm technically there too.
Yep.
On the shoulders.
Yeah, huh?
And who's next? I guess
Your
Darren would probably go
preference.
next.
Yeah.
I'll go after Darren and between Darren and Trish.
Okay, so you're bringing up the back? No,
Do
I'm
you
bringing
wanna
the
go-
back.
Do you?
No,
do you
I
wanna
think
be-
that we have everyone in the position that they want to be because I knew Trish would want to be in the back.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's
In my
Trish's
mind, I
thing.
was
Like, wait.
What is the marching order except Trish because I know Trish is in the back.
She's in the back. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that sounds great.
Trish is just looking like for any sign of danger. And you know, you're kind of like stomach deep, I guess, in the water. It's not so deep that you can't wade through it, but it's quite thick. And so it takes a little bit of struggle, a little bit of effort. And every so often you can hear these whispers, these cries. Some of them are directed generally, some of them are directed specifically at Darren. And at one point, kind of a hand is like coming out of the water and kind of like grabs out at nothing. And you get about halfway through, and you find yourself kind of sort of scanning these different people, scanning for faces, and they're all pretty, like, you might have seen them around, like they're villages that you kind of recognize, some of them, some more than others, but they're not people that you're like very close to. Until Sabine, your eyes lock onto one particular person, and she looks up at you, and Ginny says, Sabine, help me, don't leave.
And I like stop in place, and Richie probably for sure feels my head just shaking back and forth, just
Hey,
oh.
blindfold, earmuffs. I like take off my
Have
big.
any of you I just want to quickly establish, did any of you ever meet Ginny? Or was Ginny was pre you meeting this party, I believe. So I don't think any of you would recognize. You might know.
She is a twin. So it may look odd in that way.
This person, Richie, you kind of follow the gaze because it's kind of unusual. You've all stopped and everyone just kind of stops, just peering around what's going on. Roll plus Richie, you would see this, but I will get Trish as well too, because I think Trish is quite perceptive, to roll presence for me.
20, but not that.
Okay, yeah, Richie, you good.
22.
The two of you locked on. You take one look at this person and you realize that apart from some minor differences, this person almost is identical to Sabine in the way that she looks. And you know, you have the context, you know each other well enough to know the tragedy of Sabine's sister and the exact circumstances around her death and how Sir Duncan played his part in that. And so you know, without having met her, that this is Ginny speaking directly to Sabine. And she's hovering above the water. She's not submerged. She's just kind of hovering above it, and she reaches out a hand, and she says to you in that kind of like floating, whispering voice, "You're supposed to protect me."
I tried. And I reach a hand out.
I love you.
You weren't supposed to go far from me. You weren't supposed to go that far. Why would you go so far?
Come closer then. And she kind of reaches out and beckons you towards her.
I like grasp at Richie's leg. You can't be here.
No.
I can't let anyone else go this way. And I like start to put Richie off to hand to Darren.
No.
I think Trish is telling Layla, what's happening? We cannot let her do this.
Oh.
As you kind of around, she starts to move ever so slightly. She looks like she's kind of struggling to get to you, like there's something in her way, but she is moving towards you quite slowly. And for just a moment, your fingers brush. And you take so just roll.
Oh, that's never good.
It's just rolling
You
a dice to
take
how many hugs she gives.
3 points. You take 3 points of damage in an attack that I just want to let everyone know is called Consuming Tenderness.
See, hugs.
It's such a gentle brush of the hand, and you just feel so much love from it, and it gives you a slight squeeze before she kind of lets go again. And your will to continue falters a little.
With all the strength he has in his little noodle arms, Ricky is tugging on this rope.
What are you doing, Sabine?
I reach for the silver charm necklace that I had from Ginny, and I yank it off my neck. I don't want to leave you, but I'll be back one day. I will be back one day. I will find you. But I can't let... And I look to my friends behind me in the chain. They have a chance now that I can give you, and I can give it to them. And I drop the silver necklace into the waters.
She kind of watches it go, and you can see at this point she's crying. Like there are just tears streaming down her cheek. And she kind of just like folds in on herself and just lets out like this mournful wail. And she's just kind of, at this point she's not even really talking to you. She's just saying to herself, I thought you were coming back for me. I thought you were coming back for me.
I will come back.
You are at this point quite close to the exit. You have a choice. You can go to her and you can console your sister, or you can continue on.
I will be back. It's just not time now. It's not time now. You need to be strong too. Please be strong. You are always stronger. And then I go and I reach for Richie's hand instead. I can't let them go. They have a chance. And they need me right now. And I start to pull.
You continue to wade. The cries and the keening and the sadness becomes, it is not angry, it is just utter grief. They begin to call out the horrible things that they have suffered because of your exploits. He killed my family, he destroyed my home, they're talking about Sir Duncan and all of the horrible things that he's done. And they're telling you, but not in a way to make you feel guilty, though I'm sure that that's probably the effects that they're having, but just to kind of, they need you to hear their message, they need you to hear their grief. And as you climb up the steps the other side, and you begin to file through, and each of one by one people kind of make their way past Sabine. You hear behind you Ginny's voice one more time, and she calls out your name, Sabine, which gives you pause. Do you turn to look at her?
I begin to turn my head, but then I take pause.
She says, I got your letter. So I'll see you soon.
That's a promise.
And you can move through.
Remember how happy the first two rooms were? Remember the joy, the laughter.
Remember the nap room?
Oh,
Remember
man.
we all just wanted a nap?
The
Remember how
nap
funny
room,
the
that was a
owl
great
was?
room.
Richie's still
Okay.
in denial. We can go back there.
Should we go back to the nap room?
We just
my
grab
God,
Ginny and
we're
bring her to
all
the nap
crying.
room.
Okay. And you... Okay, so you move through the door and you turn into... God, what am I doing? I need to just get this map up. Hold on. Because we are in our final stretch. You made it through, everyone. I'm so proud of you. How are we holding up? We all doing good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine, good.
Just gonna.
I'm just hugging Richie right now.
Good is not a great word, but I mean, like, we all good.
Player good.
Okay.
Yes.
Player
Yes,
good.
yes.
I
Green.
just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
Green.
All right. God, I think I'm gonna cry. I need to not cry. So you get to the end. You kind of climb up these stairs and you move around. Tired, exhausted, drained, and you reach what looks like a very small room. You enter the final room. It is dusty, with creaky floorboards, a musty smell, and incredibly cluttered. It's piled high from floor to ceiling with trinkets, bric-a-brac, furniture. Absolutely no rhyme or reason to the order of any of it. And even after that ordeal, the moment that you walk in there, Darren's eyes light up and he runs forward to this sort of rocking chair, eyes sparkling. He says, my mother's rocking chair. I'd recognize that anywhere. He runs inside, sits upon it, kind of half laughing to himself. And as he does, a small toy catches his eye and he picks it up. I could have sworn I had a bear like this when I was young. He just smells the same. Look, and he kind of holds it up to show you all. As he rifles through some of the things within this pile, you all become aware of that same presence within the room, hooded figure with a porcelain face. And she gestures towards two doors, one of which she opens up slightly. And she says, well done to you all. The journey was difficult, but you have arrived at the end. It is time to go now. Darren ignores them, continues to look at all of the things kind of scattered about. These are all my things. How wonderful. Layla, look, this is the first daisy chain I ever made for you. And he pulls up this kind of like, it's kind of like a bit withered and a bit old. How you remember it when you kind of eventually threw it away. You all kind of notice that as he looks up, he looks a little bit more youthful. He looks younger. And that figure kind of says, Darren, it is time to say goodbye. Remember our promise. I can't be time yet. Look at all of this. So many memories to laugh at first. And he kind of continues to rifle through piles.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Aaron, it's time to go.
So it's not time to go. And he turns around, and now he is younger. He is got the face of kind of like what you would imagine Darren looked like as a teenager. And he kind of turns around in an almost teenagery way. He's like, I don't want to go. And then he looks back and he's kind of like laughing all these different things. And he pulls out a book and he's just like, this is the first book I read about on flowers. And he begins to open it and kind of rifle through it. And it becomes clear to you that all of these things, because you recognize some of these things, are or were all Darren's possessions at one point.
Darren?
Yeah. And he looks at you.
Richie just pulls him into a hug.
Oh, Richie. Oh, have I ever told you how great you are?
You could stand to do a little more.
Well, you are great. And you should believe in yourself more often.
You made a great story, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'll make sure it gets finished.
Sure, but we don't have to go right away.
Richie, let's go.
And he kind of looks around, and as he's looking around, that his face is becoming even younger now.
Time's ticking away, Darren. We're going.
But there's so many things in here. So many things I could have shown you.
Yeah, a lot of good memories.
So many good memories. I have so many good memories with all of you. I'm not ready to let them go yet. Oh, come on, Layla. You agree with me, right? Just a little bit more time.
I don't have any more time left.
Trish?
We'll keep the memories that we have with you close, always.
But I don't want to go. I'm scared.
You're just on another great adventure.
It can't be an adventure without all of you.
We'll all be back though. Someday.
You can tell us all about it.
And then we'll all be together forever. Not yet.
Wow. This came around a lot more quickly than I thought it was going to. Well, and you see he has this moment where he's really been trying to talk himself out of it, but as you all kind of look at him and he realizes that you are all ready to move on, he says, well, I suppose it would be selfish of me to delay your journey back any further. And I know that I have been selfish at times. I understand that now. And I'm sorry, but never forget that you can all, everything we believed in, everything we dreamed about, that's real. And I believe that it can be done. I believe it. He kind of looks at you, Trish, and he says, I know things seem better from a distance, but you know, you from time to time you can join in. We don't just like you for your skills, you know. And then he turns to you, Sabine, and he says, things have been hard for you. But you are so much stronger than the pain makes you feel like you are. And then he looks at you, Layla, and he says, no matter how much you shout at me, I do really love you.
Love you too.
And say hi to your sisters and brothers from me.
I will. Just gonna give him a hug.
He's gonna kind of scruff your hair, Richie.
Best for last.
Richie. Time for you to step up now. You understand?
Yeah. I won't
No
be
more
stepping
hiding
up.
in my shadow.
I won't be stepping up alone, though.
No, because you'll all have each other, and that's the most important thing. I wished for you to live, so go do it. And he kind of walks back, and he says to the masked figure, I'm ready now. And she opens the door, and he walks towards it. He stops for a moment, looks back, and then walks through. A second door opens, and you may all walk through too.
You all ready?
Yeah. Want to hold hands?
Yeah, I feel like we should.
Hold them out.
We should just hold hands. As we all go through. When we get back, are we gonna kill Finn, or are we past
We're
that?
gonna kill Duncan first.
Yeah, down with tyranny.
We'll get there.
All right, let's just hold hands, and it's like, all right, let's do this together.
Together.
Okay, so you step into the light, and you awaken once more. The four of you, and only the four of you, lay side by side and take your first breath for quite a while, filled with second chances. On the inhale, a strange scent fills your nostrils, and Layla, you immediately detect it to be the strong scent of forget-me-nots. I'm going to go around and ask each of you a question to kind of wrap up, and you can kind of choose how you want this to end, essentially. Gask, Richie.
Is your question going to be how much are your therapy bills? I'm so willing to pay them after this.
Yeah, this is how much I charge. What do you think, when you awaken and the four of you are back to life, the fate of Finton Reed?
Like immediate fate or long-term fate?
Either. What do you think that you would all decide to do with him?
I think in this moment there's too much grief to start planning another death.
Valid.
And he made some points.
You would, as a group, find him sitting broken in amongst his broken creations. And he would be surprised to see you and then nod and accept whatever fate you decide for him.
I think we just gotta pick up the broken pieces and make something better out of them, you know?
I love that. When the time comes, who should I give this to? You know, I'm going to go in the order of the room. So I'm going to give this to Layla because I feel like Layla's going to get a lot out of this question as well. When the time comes, how does Sir Duncan Gilbert die?
Oh God, hold on. I gotta check our safety. Check our safety form real quick.
If not, just say a bunch of beeps. Beep, 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 and then we beep them and
just
beep.
blackout scene.
I'm just checking to see.
You can kind of just give a general vibe. It doesn't have to be an in-depth explanation.
I was going to, that's why I checked. I think instead of just hiding and making plans, we show up like together with Finn and we just march to his door, knock on it, and when he answers, just grab him and we all kill him together.
Together. I think that's
together.
That's what I'm
we're all holding
that.
hands while we kick him.
We're all holding hands over a knife.
Next up, Trish. How do you all to continue to honor Darren's memory?
I think that our tradition of storytelling around the campfire continues, and it takes some time at first because the pain is still very much there. But then every so often we'll be telling a story and something, and it'll be like, hey, like, do you remember when Darren? And so we remember him fondly and sometimes with frustration, but mostly in laughter.
And lastly, Serene, how do you know that those have passed continue to watch you?
I think as one day we were coming through town after taking out Duncan and the liberation is starting to wash over everybody, we're all taking in that celebration just in a very quiet moment. We look to the sky. We feel that warm wind of a sunny, bright day and the smell of flowers. Just a bouquet of it coming across. And for a moment, we swear we hear a little bit of song in that wind from all those that we had once known.
All right. And that is the end of Final Throws and the beginning of all of your lives once more. Thank you for being such an amazing cast. Thank you, Fleet, for writing such an amazing adventure. I thank you all for making me cry. I really appreciated that. You can find that adventure. It is written for OSR, but there are even some really good tips of how to kind of convert it into other systems. It is very system agnostic. As I said, you can kind of, there's tables in there to change it up into different settings, which is really cool and really helpful. The adventure was written by Fleet. Fleetwood Flack is currently sitting in the chat, is producing for us, doing all the good stuff. And Imp in a Sweater was the amazing artist behind this map. You should absolutely go and check out this stuff. It's just incredible. I just love this map so much. I was like, I have to use it. So thank you to both them. And we have the link in the chat, I believe. Yeah, we have the link in the chat. So you can go and purchase the zine and apply it to your game anytime you have a party member die or TPK happen. This is a really interesting way of kind of getting that to happen in like a little bit different. Every player loves a dungeon. This is a particularly tough one. This will get them right in the feels, and it might even inspire a little bit more teamwork and a little bit more understanding each other's point of view and incorporate those backstories. So it's really, really fun. Yeah, I had an absolute blast with this. Thank you all so much. And I guess if we go round and we introduce ourselves and a little bit about what we do, who shall I start with this time? Let's go in role reversal. The person that's probably like been crying the most recently. Let's go with Natalie first.
All right. All right, everybody. Hi, I'm Natalie. Use she, they pronouns. You can find me most places on the internet, Twitter, Instagram with Ghost Candle or Ghostly Candle on YouTube and Twitch. I am an artist primarily, but also a variety streamer. I do solo tabletops as well as playing in other places like here. I also wrote an item in the zine, so I suggest you really buy it. And yeah, I'm in feels, so that's it for me.
Next up, I'm going in order of the hurts. So let's go with Trish next. Let's go with Laura.
Yeah, also in feels and hurt. And hi, I'm Moira. I use she, they pronouns as well. You can catch me on Twitter and streaming on Twitch at Miss Winford. That's MS_Winford. I also run the Cozy Cauldron, where I review TTRPGs and supplements. And I just released a new article yesterday about ZINE month releases I'm excited about. And it includes some really fantastic games from other people in the Girls Run These Worlds community. And you can check that out at thecozycauldron.wordpress.com.
Amazing. Yes, shout that stuff out. Then we'll go to Nox next.
Hey y'all. I'm Nox. Sorry, I just saw the command was exclamation point no.
No. That could
No
we
Nox.
should have that as a command.
No,
We had
stream just
moving on from Nox.
stream just stops. I needed that. Okay. I'm Nox. I exist. Sorry, I'm in my feels. I was Layla, team mom / angry person, plant lady. If you want to see me be a different kind of plant lady, an anxious, angry plant lady, then come back on Monday where I'm in Wish We Weren't Here, which is a very horror-based campaign, and I play Pine Nakoni, who is an anxious tree, who is just really done with all humans right now. She is just done with the humans that she's surrounded by. And yeah, I'll be doing that until
Jay. Just done.
And then that's till mid-February, and then I'll still be here in February because guess what? I'm DMing something in February on Saturdays called School of the Stars, which is another horror campaign. I like being scared and emotional. But until then, you can find me at Noxturnal_7 on everything except for Twitch, where I'm at Nox_Turnal7, and it bothers me they don't match. And I'm gonna go call my grandparents and cry.
Okay, well, last but not least, not me, Gask.
Hello, my name is Gaskinator, and you could find me here on Wednesdays where I play the most microwavable man in the world. At Lancer, which is on around the same time, and also currently right now, speaking of February games, I have a casting call up for the Game of Love, where it's a game show where I'll be hosting 4 lucky contestants winning the heart of one Gaynor monster Well, there's gonna be goofs and gags, a bit of a total change from what we did today, but
Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, please do check out Gask in Lancer. Plays just a little guy, but like maybe
Just
a little
a
bit.
little guy.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what Darcy's got planned for you, to be honest. Maybe more grief.
Maybe I'll still be a little guy.
Yeah, absolutely. That leaves me. I am the last person to speak. I've completely forgotten who I am. I am Kat, the Law Mistress. I am Law Mistress 93 pretty much everywhere, except here on Twitch, which I'm starting up my own channel and I completely relate not. I am the Law Mistress here on Twitch, and I have so many regrets about that decision. But we live and we learn. I please do not microwave little guys. Thank you, Arnica. I will be back here tomorrow. I will be running. I could be so tired. I will be running the second episode of season 2 of Therosian Odyssey: Tides of Volition. My cast are also preparing to be all in their fields tomorrow. We're going to have a really RP heavy session as they prepare to set out on the voyage of a lifetime into the seas. Thank you all so much for being here. Am I missing something? Are we raiding? I'm just throwing that out there to the invisible producer that is definitely listening. If we are raiding, while we figure that out, it's almost like Kat has a brand. I don't want my brand to be grief.
You want us to become vampires, Fleet? Just yelling vamp at us constantly. Wow, I wonder what that means.
Remember to follow and subscribe to Girls Rosie's Worlds, as it helps all of us here on the channel.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
Remember to find the Ko-Fi. Tip that.
Yeah.
They also have a website.
Buy the zine. This is what we're here for. We have just showcased something incredible from the zine. I also recommend that you check out the VOD of Abby's Misspent Youth. That had an NPC that is featured in the zine. And the zine is themed around new beginnings, rebirth. I hope that came through in this.
You should also check out Girls Write Worlds, because there's more stuff about future zines.
Future zines, which I might be writing for.
Whoa. Whoa, hang on. This just in.
Yeah, that was the information of all of us.
On the Zoom.
And watch Alien.
Alien. I'm so excited.
The movie and the actual play.
Yeah.
Okay, I have just been informed that our current producer does not have the ability to raid. So let's just go ahead and say that we are not.
Everyone in
it looks
chat
like they're
just
getting
pinky,
somebody.
Yeah, okay. Everyone in
So
chat
we're
can
just gonna
pinky
stall.
promise they're gonna go to someone else's.
Okay, wait, no, we're having a raid. We're just gonna stall for a bit. So yeah, Alien.
So I'm taking all of your characters back to the nap room because I feel like I need a nap after.
Okay.
Just
start the whole dungeon all over again. What a way to
so
bounce.
Anne can start the raid. That's wonderful. So we have a good raider in someone that we can raid in mind. Does anyone have any suggestions?
DM
Studios is live right now. Awesome. Yeah, let's raid into DM Studios. So that's Derek, good friend of VA Redemptions, who I will be playing with. That's another announcement that I've just completely forgotten about.
It's just in.
I am going to be playing for the first time ever Call of Cthulhu. And it's going to be on Redemption's channel, where I was playing in Cyberpunk before. Same cast. We've got one extra edition, which I'm really excited about. But it's going to be like
the extra
Cthulhu,
edition
but kind of zombie
Cthulhu?
apocalypse. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we are going to let's send us into DM Studios, Anne, if you will, and we will say cheerio and goodbye to all of you. So bye bye.
Bye. Bathing a lot. Thank you, Welsh Troll.
You can't.